Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now today is another one of my Rate My Watch videos in which one of you gentlemen, a chap called Pete, has written to me, sent me some images of his watch collection so that we can share and enjoy what he already has, but he has a question as well. So basically I'll just tell you a bit about why Pete has come to us. He tells us that basically the question he's posing is where should he go next in his watch collection. And these are the watches which he owns right now. And he tells us that he's a man who is not huge in stature, so he prefers watches which are around about the 36mm area. And he says, without being pretentious, his taste is more classic. He doesn't like watches with busy dials like Rolex Daytonas and Omega Speedmasters. He says over the years he's owned larger watches, including the Rolex Skydweller, the 41mm Royal Oak, but he sold them on because he found them to be too cumbersome to live with over a while. Now, he has suffered with health issues recently, but he's coming back to health and we wish him well for that. But he does work in the City of London in the finance trade. So he spends a lot of time in a corporate environment, and hence his watch choices are often based on what will look smart, maybe with a suit and smart attire. So he poses that question to us, but let's look at what he's got here first. Now, the first watch in his watch roll, which he shared with us, is the Bremont Air M2. If you were to buy this one today, it would be around £5,000. 40mm in size, 12.5mm thick, 100 meters of water resistance, and it's a pretty simple and straightforward watch actually. White dial, stainless steel case, and in this instance it's paired with a leather strap. To look at the watch, I would say nothing unremarkable. White dial, the Bremont logo on it, date just above the 6 o'clock on the dial, inverted red triangle at the 12 o'clock is just about the only colour on that dial. Railroad track going around the outside. What do we know about Bremont? Well, they've been around since 2002. They were founded by two English brothers in Henley-on-Thames, just outside London, but they sold the company in 2023 to an American sort of investment billionaire. They've changed their branding recently. A lot of watch aficionados have kind of steered away from them, but they were certainly on the up, and they fulfilled the role of being one of the rare British watch companies, obviously with Swiss manufacture, but that's kind of where they were. What do I think about this watch? It's somewhat unremarkable, but for quite an expensive price. That's what I would say. And when I look at this piece, what I see is a white dial which has applied silver metal. I don't know if they are silver, could be white gold, could be anything, but silver applied Arabic numerals and silver handset, so hours, minutes and seconds. And for me, first glance looking at this watch, I find it difficult to distinguish the time because there's not enough contrast between the numerals and the handset and the dial behind it. So whilst I see it being a perfectly practical watch, for $5,000, probably around about the same British pounds as well, I suspect you could do a little bit better with that money. But you own it, you love it, nothing wrong with that at all. Moving on, a watch which I recognize immediately because I own one very similar. It's the Rolex Date 36mm, and Pete tells us this was actually the watch he wore for his wedding. So it has enormous sentimental value. What can I say? It is probably the oldest watch in the Rolex catalogue at the moment. It's always going to be there. It's classic, it's elegant. It can be worn in the boardroom with your suit. It can be worn on the beach in your trunks because it's got an Oyster Perpetual case, 100 meters of water resistance, screw down crown. So very capable. I would say as capable as most sports watches, yet it has the dressy characteristics. That fluted bezel, the faceted bezel, which is actually made of white gold on this watch, it makes it catch the light, it glints, it looks beautiful. In this instance, it is the watch with a white dial, which makes it very, very practical because you can wear it with anything. I've got a very similar watch to this, but with a blue dial. What I also see here is it has the Oyster bracelet. In fact, my model has the Jubilee bracelet, but the Oyster bracelet gives it a slightly more sporty feel opposed to the Jubilee bracelet. Jubilee actually being made for this watch originally in 1945. I think it's a very smart watch. Baton markers, except for the 12 o'clock, which has the Rolex crown applied in white gold. And at the 3 o'clock, we see that famous Rolex Cyclops magnifier device, which makes the date look larger. And in this instance, that's really important because this watch is fitted with what they call the roulette wheel, date wheel. So basically, a bit like the roulette wheel in the casino, you've got red, black, indicating where you mark, where you bet. On the Rolex watches that are fitted with the roulette date wheel, you've got red for odd numbers, black numbers for even days. So every other day you get a little splash of red on the dial, which is very attractive. I've got that on my own watch, no longer actually available, but very beautiful, very elegant. I mean, if I'm being entirely honest with Pete here, if he owns this watch, he doesn't really need to own anything else because it's got him covered for everything. And 36 millimeters, people will say, that's a bit small, isn't it? Is that not sort of a unisex, maybe even a lady size? Because Rolex also make this watch in 41 millimeters. I would say not at all. This is the classic Datejust size. It's the only size that Rolex originally made the Datejust in, and it did them fairly good for like 40, 50 years of making this watch before they upsized to go to 41 millimeters. So it's definitely a man's watch at 36 millimeters. And it actually weighs a bit bigger than a typical 36 millimeter watch because the Oyster Perpetual case, it does have a bit of heft to it, but excellent choice. Love this one. You would say that because, you know, you own one, but there we go. So moving on, a little bit of a different brand now. It's IWC, International Watch Company. It's the Pilot Watch from their range. If you were to buy it today, it would cost £4,100. 36 millimeters with a blue dial. So very striking watch, that blue dial. The only coloured dial in Pete's collection, as I recall, and it has all the classic characteristics of a pilot's watch, and that's what IWC is all about. Of course, they were founded in Switzerland by an American watchmaker, hence International Watch Company, and in the mid 1800s, 1860s or something like that, somebody will correct me with the exact date, they went through a bit of a tough time, bit of bankruptcy, bit of changed hands. Then they were absorbed into the Swiss Richemont group. So they're under that umbrella of other companies now. I think they entered that arrangement in about the year 2000. They're of course best known for this type of watch, which is a luxury pilot aviator watch. And what does that mean? It has a fairly large face generally with big, easy to distinguish alphanumeric numerals, which, you know, easy to see in low light temperatures or across the cockpit of an aircraft. In this instance, we've got a triangle marking the 12 o'clock. We've got a date indicator at the 3 o'clock. Otherwise, nice big numbers, big handset, easy to see in a classic stainless steel case. Not dissimilar, you will say, to the Bremont we saw just a watch or so ago. In this instance, the watch is presented on a blue leather strap, which leans into that lovely blue and stainless steel appearance. It's a lovely watch. Who can argue with it? 60 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, power reserve of about 50 hours. Very classic, very elegant. Again, not bad at all. Maybe not best for the beach with only 60 meters of water resistance, but certainly for the boardroom. So, staying with IWC, another one of their more recent deliveries to the watch world, and it's the Engineer. And this is the 35mm version of the Engineer, which I really like the fact that Pete has dialed in the fact that he likes watches of a certain size, and he is not being seduced by the watch world that keeps bringing out ever larger and larger watches. You know, he's been down that route. He's had the Sky Dweller by Rolex, massive watch. This is much more lean, much more appropriate for a man of not enormous stature, and I would include myself in that category. 35 millimeters, of course they make it in 40 millimeters as well. If you were to buy this watch today, £8,900. If you buy the 40 millimeter one, it's over 10,000. So it's an enormously expensive watch for a stainless steel piece. It weighs a bit larger, I'm told, because it's got an integrated bracelet, so it slots into the head, makes it feel like a 36-37, I am told by people who own this. I've handled them, never worn one, never spent any time with one. 9.4 millimeters thick, 100 meters of water resistance, 42 hours power reserve. In this instance, what we see is the sort of silvery dial with sort of checkerboard appearance to it. Date window at 3 o'clock, baton markers at every hour with a double baton marker marking the 12. Yeah, it's a pretty nice looking watch. What I would say is, like all what will I say, vaulted watches by Gerald Genta, the famous watch designer. You know, he made the Royal Oak, he made the Patek Philippe Nautilus. You know, he designed a lot of watches. What I would say is, they all bloody look the same. They've got that sort of exaggerated porthole look to the bezel, which, yeah, you see it once or twice, but you think to yourself, Gerald, you know, come on, mate. You should have leaned into a bit of more innovation there. All of your watches tend to look the same. And for me, the Engineer, it's all right, yeah. But what I would say is, it doesn't look like a £10,000 watch. The problem with this piece is its price point. It's a nice watch, but I just don't think it's a 10 grander. But yeah, nice one to the collection, good one to have. Again, you can wear this in the boardroom, you can wear it on the beach. It's a pretty decent sports watch. And finally, from the 5 which Pete has presented for us, Cartier Tank Must. A little bit unusual because this one is obviously a quartz watch, but it's all about the styling when it comes to Cartier. In fact, I'm wearing a Cartier Santos myself. This is the Cartier Santos Medium, presented to you today with an actual Cartier, I think it's an alligator leather strap, stainless steel with a white dial. This is the watch I wear when I'm going to wear a suit or something quite smart. It's just got that simple Cartier DNA, and the Tank Must absolutely nails that. Now this is the Tank Must large model. If you were to purchase this today, £3,700. Very classic, very elegant, and unlike all Cartier watches, that square appearance just puts you in mind straight away of elegance, of an Art Deco styling, which is as equally beautiful today as it was when they first came out. And I believe this watch first saw the light of day in 1917. So these are real classic watches. They've been around for much longer than many of the watches today which hold people's attention. Very nice. I mean, it's presented here on the stainless steel bracelet, but Pete tells me he often wears it on a navy blue crocodile strap, which I imagine would look beautiful. Now, when we look at the Tank Must, what we see is that white dial with simple Roman numerals telling us the time, the blued metal handset, so that lovely pop of blue, the inner railroad track, so marking out the minutes on the inside, and of course at the end of the crown we have that blue spinel, which marries nicely with the blued hands, exactly the same on my watch in fact, which is gorgeous. And you know, what an amazing piece, just right for wearing with a suit or when you want to look elegant and smart. Now, a lot of deep-seated watch aficionados will say, oh my god, who buys a quartz? You know, it's not in the watch ideology, the philosophy that we all like to follow. I would say you can disqualify those views when it comes to Cartier. I mean, my watch is actually an automatic movement. My wife recently purchased a Cartier Panther, which is a quartz watch, and you know, for that lovely slim case, the actual beauty of the watch, you're not buying this watch because of its movement. Although Cartier is a de facto, you know, integrated watch manufacturer. They make their own movements, they make beautiful watches. But for this is all about the elegance and the class. And for me, I don't worry about the movements, it's about the aesthetics. You can't see the movement on somebody's wrist, or when you look at your own wrist, you see that watch. So you've got an awesome collection there, Pete, but I take your point. When I look at your collection in the round, what you do have is a lot of, and I say in the round, you've got a lot of round-faced watches which don't have what I would say standout bezels or colour. You have one watch which has a coloured dial, and you know, your watches have a lot of the same in the collection. What I would say is, why not think about, and you also have no complications. You have watches with dates, yes you do, but that's about it. You've got no complications at the moment. Why not think about a watch which can tick a few of those boxes? I'm going to make a suggestion, a brand that you don't own, but one which I think is well thought of, and that's Tudor. Now I'm going to talk about the Tudor Black Bay 58, the GMT version, and I think that ticks a number of your boxes, right? So it's a nice size. It's 39mm. It's not going to overwhelm the wrist. It's going to be a nice size for you. Not only that, it's £4,000. It's not going to break the bank, right? It has a bezel, right? So to go with that GMT complication, you've got a black and red bezel, which will add a pop of colour, which is something that you don't have on any bezel currently in your collection. The watch itself, nice, easy to read handset, but what it does have is a touch of retro to it, because the numerals within the bezel and also the metalwork on the dial, so surrounding the hour markers and the handset, you have a gold colour. So what you have is that sort of slightly warm, more retro look to the watch. I think it's a very beautiful watch. I actually owned, I still do, a Tudor Black Bay GMT, the larger one, which I've actually given to my son these days. He wears it now. But if this watch had been around when I was in the market for Tudor GMT, all day long, this would have been the one I'd have purchased. It's absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, quite a reasonable price point as well. But staying with that brand, if that's not what floats your boat, and I know you like the smaller watch, and we can still maybe go into a watch which will definitely be beach appropriate, maybe boardroom appropriate too. The Black Bay 54. Now, what I like about this watch, it's 37mm, right? So it's not massive. It's a nice sized diver for gentlemen who don't like overwhelming watches on their wrist. £3,450, puts it in an affordable price bracket. 200 meters of water resistance, exactly the same as the GMT we just spoke about. 70 hours of power reserve. This is a really, really capable watch with a ceramic black bezel to go with your diving capability, but still with that warm gold elements on the dial. So the minute track and the metalwork surrounding the hands and the hour markers is in gold color. I think it might even be actually gold. So it has a lot going for it. It looks like maybe an older fashioned dive watch, which is going to look superb in modern application for somebody who enjoys the smaller watch and the smaller price point as well. So I think those are a couple that you could consider adding to the collection. When I look at your collection now, I think either of those watches would fit in rather nicely. I think you've already got the boardroom sorted. You know, you've got that Rolex Date just, you've got the IWC blue-faced diver, and of course you've got the Cartier. You've got all the smart that you need. Sportiness, you've got the IWC Engineer. I think actually there is a gap here for possibly that GMT or the Black Bay 54. Could work out nicely for you. Pete, let me know what you think. So there we go, folks. I'm going to say thanks to Pete for sharing his watches with us, allowing us to revel in the pieces that he has, and to perhaps give him some advice going forwards. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to like this channel so you'll see more like this in the future. And if you want to see your watches featured here on my channel in a similar format to this, drop me in, you know, the images. I'd be delighted to share my thoughts and views with you. So until we next meet, don't forget you can come on this journey in the future with me as a patron. Go to the show notes below, you'll find a link to my Patreon page. Tiny monthly fee, you get the extra videos I make exclusively for those patrons. Until the next time we meet, wear your watch with pride and passion, whatever it may be. And I'll see you again very soon.
sound of your wings, leaving